Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Countdown podcast with me, Declan Hughes, and my friend Peter Lynch. Today, we're lucky to have on Larry Henry Jr. Larry, it's a pleasure to have you on. Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, first off, guys, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Obviously, you can find my work as a journalist at sbisoccer.com. Been there for 4 years now, so able to cover MLS, Americans abroad, playing overseas is our one of our big categories, and then also the U.S. men's and women's national teams. Hopefully, get some more European coverage as well. So now with more Americans playing over there, it seems like we're getting more and more European articles, so it's good. So you can find my stuff there, SBI Soccer. You can follow me on Twitter, lhenry019. Also contributing at internationalchampionscup.com as well. So, but yeah, been a bit busy.
Love it.
Amazing. Well, yeah, you just dive right into it. You mentioned Americans abroad. We could definitely talk a lot about that because, at the minute, I think it's a very exciting time, especially for us, for coming from the UK. There's been, like the likes of Tim Howard, Brad Friedel, Clint Dempsey over the years. But, now you have the likes of Owen Odusoy at Wolves, Anthony Robinson at Fulham, plenty of others in the Championship. Obviously, Pulisic at Chelsea. That brings me on to the Champions League. Unfortunately, he didn't get much game time, I think, for Chelsea in that first leg. But, the first legs are over there. A lot of American talent playing in the competition, likes of Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, Sergino Dest. And, it's probably not the best question because, those guys all lost, unfortunately, in the first leg. But did any of them, stand out for you at all?
Well, yeah, I mean, kind of hit it right on the head. Obviously, none of them won. Well, obviously, Zack Steffen in Man City had won yesterday over Borussia Mönchengladbach to Ederson, who I think is going to continue to be the number one for the long term. Gio Reyna is another one who got to get a win in his game, although he didn't play for Borussia Dortmund against Sevilla. So looking at the guys who did play, I guess the standout guy would be Tyler Adams for RB Leipzig, although they lost to Liverpool, a game which I kind of figured Liverpool would win and bounce back. Obviously, they've had a tough go of things lately, but Tyler Adams did pretty well, at least. Went the distance, played 90 minutes, did well against that kind of dynamic attack with Liverpool has, and so overall he's continuing to get minutes with Julian Nagelsmann. And then the other two guys, Serginho Dest, unfortunately didn't get a good performance really. Neither did the whole Barcelona back line against PSG, but played 71 minutes that game. And the thing with Dest though is he's a guy who he's an aggressive defender, but he's a guy who wants to make plays in the offensive third and on the wing. And unfortunately, PSG had so much of the ball that Dest was kind of pinned back and had to deal with the likes of Mbappe, who had a career day that day. So, so Dest, I think, is still coming into his own at Barcelona. Obviously, when you make that switch to a team like that from Ajax, it's a little tough in the beginning, and obviously Barcelona is probably not where they want to be at as in years past. So I think the best of Dest we'll continue to see as it goes on. And then Weston McKennie played 63 minutes in Juventus's 2-1 loss to Porto, which is I think has been the shock so far in the round of 16. I wonder if they can hold on. We'll see. But McKennie is playing through an injury. Andrea Pirlo recently said that he's kind of had a hamstring problem. But he's been toughing it out, playing. He scored a goal in league play recently, so it was good to see that. And so if I had to pick the standout guy, that would have to be Tyler Adams, just for the sole fact that he went the distance. He played, decently against Liverpool, and but the other guys, I think they've all done pretty well in the Champions League this season. Dest has scored a goal in the Champions League. McKennie scored a goal in the Champions League, and Pulisic seems to I guess, be getting some time again. He closed out the win over Atletico Madrid. So hopefully for American fans, I know, are saying that he might move to Bayern Munich. I don't really believe any of that yet. I still think he's going to be in the plans for Thomas Tuchel going forward. But it's good to see that he got some minutes at least after kind of a tough go of things over the last week or two.
Yeah, I think like with the American players, you're seeing a lot of them now like going to like high profile Champions League teams, obviously Pulisic, McKinney. So like, do you think with like Tyler Adams, I know RB Leipzig of they're becoming a real like constant team in the Champions League. They're doing really well, but do you think at some point in his career, because he's still young as well, do you think he would then try and make the leap up to like the Bayern Munich level at some point?
It definitely could happen. I mean, Adams is a guy who a lot of people ask me, who's the most important guy probably for the U.S. men's national team going forward, and everyone wants to say Pulisic just because his ability offensively, and he's been with the team for probably the longest out of the three. But I really think that Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie are going to have even more important roles for the U.S. team going forward because they're aggressive midfielders. They cover a lot of ground. Adams has played like right wing back, and also right back at times for Leipzig in their formation. So that versatility, I think, is only going to help and give him more of a platform for a bigger team. I haven't seen anything too much in the news or in the media about Adams being linked with anyone. Usually nowadays, it's like every time anyone has a good performance, they are linked with somebody, whether it's Man City or Man United or Liverpool. But I do think that Adams at some point will make that jump, whether it's to Bayern or not, we'll see. I think it would be pretty cool to see him in the Premier League, but I think he's doing really well at Leipzig. And I think it's anytime you see a player that makes that jump from MLS to the Bundesliga and is able to kind of pick it up right away. I mean, it just shows kind of how special of a player that is. And like you both said, that he's still young. Him, McKinney, and Pulisic are the kind of core of that U.S. team for years to come, and hopefully can bring home some silverware for the U.S. team. It's been obviously been a while since anything exciting happened. So, but Adams, I think in a few, maybe another year or two. I think too, it might depend on if Nagelsmann is still there. If he leaves, obviously he's a great manager, and I think he could get a chance at a bigger club, whether it's Bayern someday or whether it's a Premier League team. So if he leaves too, that could mean more of a reason for Adams to go. So, but right now I think that Adams is obviously content. He said that he's enjoying the time there and wants to help Leipzig bring home some silverware, because it's one thing to be consistent, but if you're not bringing home any trophies, it's kind of frustrating. So. And right now, I think it's still Bayern's league for the time being.
Yeah, as you said, like the American team's got a good future ahead of them. I think anyway, like the next 4-8 years, a lot of young crop coming through. But speaking of it, Larry, we know you're a big Man City fan, so let's talk a little bit about Zack Steffen. Obviously, US men's national team goalkeeper. He's got 19 caps for America. I think he's got 5-6 appearances this season for Man City, mostly the cup games, but he did make one in the Champions League and one in the Premier League. So do you think he has the opportunity to maybe at some point take over from Ederson? I know Ederson's obviously one of the best goalkeepers in the world right now, but do you ever see Zack Steffen getting the opportunity to take over that role?
It's definitely going to be fun to see if it does happen, because he's really done well this season. I think the last time I had written an article on him in his last performance, I think he's up to 9-0 now with on the season record wise. So pretty good, return for a guy who obviously struggled with injuries last season, was at Fortuna Dusseldorf in Germany, and was kind of a key reason for them having a decent first half of the season. And then a knee injury forced them to miss the second half, and Dusseldorf ended up getting relegated at the end anyway. But Steffen's done well, and I think that he definitely could have a say down the road again with Ederson. As you said, I think Ederson is one of the best, if not probably even if not the best, younger goalkeeper in the world. Just the way he's able to make big saves, the way he's able to distribute passes. I mean, some of these games he's just kind of blowing my mind with these long ball passes and able to. I think the one game he had an assist for them. So yeah. But Steffen is done well so far. Definitely a bright future with the U.S. team. I think he has the number one job. It's his to lose. So unfortunately, obviously, there's a lot of people that say that maybe an MLS guy an MLS goalie could take that because they could be playing regularly. But I still think that Steffen is only going to get better at Man City, whether it's playing every game or whether it's just learning every game, working with Ederson and with the coaching staff that they have there. So Steffen, I think for now has done well. He could have a chance, obviously, as the FA Cup goes on, and then also whether or not maybe he gets the nod in the League Cup final against Tottenham. I'm not sure if he will because it's a final, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did because he's been a key reason for the team getting to that point. But overall, he's had a good season, and I think that the more playing time he gets, it's only going to make him better for hopefully contesting with Ederson for the number one job maybe in a few years.
Do you see like maybe if he doesn't get the opportunity, because we know like Ederson's still a young goalkeeper as well, so it's not like he's maybe at his peak or like coming to his 30s, so Man City might think about replacing him. So do you think if Zack Steffen thinks he's got the ability to be the number one, do you think could you see him going to another like Champions League team, whether it's in England or in Europe or even like another Premier League team? Could you see him like maybe doing that if things don't quite work out at Man City?
I definitely can. The issue, I guess, kind of it is obviously you don't want to pass up on a team like Manchester City because they always seem to be contending for trophies, whether it's the league, and this year could be the Champions League with how well they're playing, and a couple domestic trophies as well. So I could see him making a move at some point. I think for now, I mean, this is only his first year with the first team. Last year he was loaned out. But I could see him making a move to another team. Obviously, he came up, in North America in the U.S. and then also had a spell at Freiburg in Germany, which didn't really go too well with the first. He never really got a chance with the first team, but he said before how much he enjoyed being in Germany and like the atmosphere there. So maybe that's a possible destination for him down the road. But I think right now I would see him just staying at City, maybe continuing to develop, continuing to learn, and take in all the information he can, and then make the most of those opportunities when he has played. Because the Champions League game he did well. I believe he also played one of the league games against Chelsea, the first league game against Chelsea, and did well. So played against Man United in the League Cup, and they advanced. So so he's had some good experiences so far. But I think at some point he's probably going to want to consider that and say, okay, look, I'm good enough to play for anybody, whether it's in England or Germany. And I do think teams would certainly come knocking for his signature.
Yeah, just last point on Zack Steffen, Larry. I think me and you like this, that we need to give a shout out to Philadelphia Union since he was actually their player in 2012, and a shout out to Jim Curtin, obviously the head coach now of the Union, and he was the player that brought him through there. So we know Jim's got an eye for a player.
Yeah. Shout out, obviously, to the Union for helping get him on board. And it's funny that he's one of several players that had been in the Union organization at one point and has since left. But you could make a pretty decent roster with some guys that had been obviously in the program. Him, Brendan Aronson, Mark McKenzie, who recently left. So not bad.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mentioned Howard earlier, so maybe we'll see Steffen come back to the MLS sometime. Who knows? Whenever he's like 4 years old, maybe.
Yeah, maybe Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think obviously he was one of the best goalies when he was here, and got that move to go overseas, which was everyone was kind of a shock to everybody right away, because it seems like when players from MLS do go to Man City, obviously there were some older players that did make the move and didn't really get the chance, but they were on the books at Man City. Eric Palmer Brown's another one who comes to mind. He was a defender at Sporting Kansas City and is on the books at Man City, and he's loaned out in Austria, excuse me, for the second straight season. So he's I guess in good company with another American there.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, just sticking with City, some terrifying stats. They picked up another win there Wednesday night. I think it's 19 wins in a row in all competitions. I read somewhere like they haven't conceded a goal in the Champions League in maybe 10 hours of football. So yeah, not good from a Liverpool fan here. So it pains me to say it, but on the other hand, I think Pep, he's obviously proved himself in the Champions League with other clubs, but unfortunately not with City just yet, which is great to see. He's only reached the quarterfinals, I think it is. I think City, maybe reached the semis on one occasion, but that was under Pellegrini, as far as I'm aware. So I think I just have to ask the question, do you think this is finally City's year to do it?
Yeah, I think this could be it. I don't want to jinx it, because I know how fast it could turn. I've had friends and colleagues that have already said, oh yeah, the league is yours, the league's yours. I'm like, don't say it yet, but because anything could happen, and they still have some intriguing games left, obviously, in the league with Man U again. They have to play Leicester again, Chelsea again. And so, but in the Champions League, yeah, it's been really fun to watch. Obviously, pretty easy draw, as Declan and I always joke. Man City with their draws in competition seems to be always pretty easy in the early going, but and obviously Gladbach hadn't been on really good form coming into that game, so it was always going to be tough for them to really get a result. But defensively, it's just been really great performances from them. We know what they can do offensively. De Bruyne's back healthy now. Gundogan's playing really good football, stepping up obviously when De Bruyne was out. And then defensively, it seems like no matter who is the center back partnership, it seems to be working out, whether it's Ruben Diaz, Laporte, John Stones seems to be having a really great year as well. So, and then one guy I think who's been really underrated and not talked about enough is Joao Cancelo, who has done really well. He had a good performance yesterday, always getting upfield and making good decisions with the ball. So had an assist on the opening goal. So I think this could be the year. I'm not going to say it is yet, just because I don't want to jinx them. But I do think that if a team that could give them problems, and there's two teams that I wouldn't want to play, and that's Bayern and PSG, and they're the finalists obviously from last year. But Mbappe is playing at a high level right now, and I think Neymar is still hurt, but he should be coming back. So if the longer they advance, that'll only give him a chance to get ready, and then you have Bayern, who is obviously kind of the at the fear and winning trophies. So and obviously they had a dominating first leg win over Lazio. So those two teams I think would give City the toughest chance. Maybe even a Man City Liverpool showdown down the road. I think that'd be pretty cool. But it'd be even better if Van Dijk and them were there, just to make it more fun to watch. Obviously, Liverpool right now is not too fun with the defenders they have right now playing. But I think this could be the year for City.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there with Bayern and PSG. Definitely the two teams who signaled their intentions in that first leg. Bayern, scary performance. The players they've got, it's I think it's similar to City's level. They have so many players in depth in so many different positions. They can just replace one just like that, which is obviously it's a luxury to have. Especially you mentioned Liverpool with all the problems they have had, but I couldn't rule out Liverpool at the minute. I'm a big fan, obviously, so I can't rule them out. On European nights, even without fans, and sometimes I think the games aren't even going to be at Anfield. They're playing away in Hungary and places like this. So, but I still can't rule Liverpool out. But yeah, I think City are looking, pretty terrifying. And if they can wrap the Premier League up early as early as possible, then I think they're going to have, even more power. Just drive through into the later stages of the competition. I was quickly going to mention any underdogs, because I don't know if Declan actually remembers this, but I think last season it was at the beginning of the competition I picked out an underdog for Atalanta. Their first season in the season in the Champions League, they were playing well in Italy and they qualified for the first time ever. And I actually wrote an article saying, they're the ones to watch. And then lo and behold, they lost their first 3 group games. City actually beat them 5-1. I'm not sure if you remember. I got a lot of abuse for it. And I think Declan was leader of that abuse, actually. And then, would you believe it? They turned it around. They qualified from the group. They beat Valencia in the last 16. And then, it was heartbreaking. They lost to PSG, I think it was, in the quarters. So, they're still there. But obviously it's going to be tough coming back from that Madrid game. But can you see anyone, surprising anyone? I think Sevilla are still about, Dortmund maybe.
If I had to pick, I think the team that's in the best situation is Porto, only because right now they are leading Juventus 2-1. Decent performance in the first leg, took the lead and really kind of frustrated Cristiano Ronaldo and a lot of the other attackers. So it's definitely going to be tough though, because they do go on the road for the second leg in Turin, and even though there's no fans, I still think Juventus will fancy themselves to win that second leg and advance. And whenever you have Ronaldo, something special is probably going to happen. Whether it's him or whether it's Messi, there's only a few players on the field you can say that. But I do think Porto has the best chance. Obviously, they played City in the group stage and gave them a decent go both of the games they played. So I think Porto's got the best chance. Sevilla right now, I think down 3-2 to Dortmund.
Yeah.
Dortmund defensively haven't been, I guess, all that consistent at the back. So Sevilla, I still think, has a chance, and they had a really good run of form, I think, before that game. So I think that should be an intriguing second leg as well. But I think that would probably end it for the underdogs. I don't really see Leipzig coming back. I don't see. I think Chelsea will advance as well, albeit it's only a 1-0 first leg win. But I think they've been playing a lot better with Tuchel as the manager. So I think the best team that has the chance to advancing would be Porto.
Interesting.
Nice. Okay, some bad shouts there from you two overall in that segment, but we'll soon find out what happens. Right, Larry, we like to get people's top 3 opinions on this podcast, right? So this week, we want to know your top 3 American players that you think we should look out for, either to play in the high level in the Champions League or a future US national team player. And we'll start at 3 and we'll work our way to 1.
All right, so number 3, I'm going to start with an MLS guy, Gianluca Buzio from Sporting KC. He's a youngster, 18 years old. He actually signed a homegrown deal with Kansas City when he was 15, and so far he's totaled 50 matches in MLS between regular season and playoffs. He's been able to work with a great manager in Peter Vermees. Shout out to him because he's a local Burlington County, New Jersey resident from Delran. And but back to Buzio, he's 6 goals and 6 assists at Kansas City, but he's a versatile player. He can play in the heart of midfield. He can play on the wing, can even kind of play as a wing back. He's represented the U.S. under 15s, under 17s, definitely going to be in the mix for a senior appearance. And then also, obviously, with the U23s, a busy year for them because Olympics still set to happen this summer. And with Buzio, he's already had some interest from abroad. I remember last year he was getting linked with a few teams from Italy. I believe it was Fiorentina, Inter Milan, both reportedly linked with him. So I think that's a guy who I think will have a career in Europe someday, whether it's going to Italy first or somewhere else and getting a startup and then moving on. But he'd be my number 3. Number 2, I'm going to go with a guy in Europe right now, Matthew Hoppe from Schalke, 19 years old. Hasn't really been on the radar of the U.S. men's national team, but after a really good month of January, I think that he's going to be on the radar going forward. Scored 5 goals in January, including a hat trick against Hoffenheim. Was named the Bundesliga Rookie of the Month for January, and is definitely in a tough situation right now because Schalke hasn't really played well all season, bottom of the Bundesliga, but he did sign a new contract with them earlier this season, and he's already said in interviews that he's committing his future to the team, whether it's in the Bundesliga, whether relegation does happen, he would stay there and want to continue developing, and really kind of came out of nowhere because he was playing for the under 23s last season there, and then got the chance this season, and has since stayed in the starting lineup, even though the goals have dried up a little bit for him. But like I said earlier, it seems like whenever you do something well, you get linked. And right after those 5 goals, I've been seeing his name linked with Man City, Man United, Liverpool. So I think it's pretty shocking because he's only got about maybe 15 to 18 appearances with the first team, and he's already linked with a big move. So, but I do think that'd be a great addition for the U.S. men's national team because they're still looking for a lead striker and some guys to step up at the striker position. And Josh Sargent is one of them in the Bundesliga right now, and some other guys as well. Tim Weah from Lille. But I think Hoppe could definitely boost his stock with some more goals this season, and obviously a chance in what's going to be a busy year for the U.S. team with a lot of competitions. And then go with number 1. I know Declan probably has a good idea where this is going, and that's Brendan Aronson. Philadelphia Union obviously played there, did exceptionally well. From South Jersey, grew up in Medford, and now doing some pretty good things with Red Bull Salzburg over in Austria, playing in the Europa League. Unfortunately, they got bounced this afternoon by Villarreal, but he's kind of come into his own at Salzburg with Jesse Marsch. Probably always good when you're the only American on the team to play for an American coach, so you have some something familiar there. And but Aronson really kind of just blew up with the Union and got his chance 2 seasons ago and did really well. Played a part in them getting to the playoffs and winning that elusive first playoff game at home, and then last season upped his production and helped them bring home a first trophy, which was the Supporters Shield. So and then also got his chances with the U.S. men's national team. He made his senior debut in January of 2020 against Costa Rica, and then also closed out the year with some performances with the performance in December against El Salvador. So and also had some good performances in that game and some good moments. So Aronson, still young. I think with that partnership that Salzburg has with RB Leipzig, maybe that's a future spot for him. We've seen some other guys take that route even recently. So maybe Aronson, will see him in the Bundesliga someday, but it's really good to see him playing at a high level right now and getting his opportunity, because I've talked to him one-on-one and everything. He's a great kid and he works hard, and he even has a younger brother now that's going to be hopefully filling the void in the Union midfield. So those would be my 3: Buzio, Hoppe, and Aronson.
Perfect. Sounds like a really, really interesting and exciting time for Americans. Definitely. Wish those guys all the best for whatever's next for those guys. And for Philly, of course, maybe not for City though in the Champions League. But yeah, it feels like a great place to end it there. And thanks so much for coming on, Larry, and sharing your thoughts. And those 3 players sound like big things are going to happen.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me, guys. Really appreciate it. Anytime, and hopefully Liverpool give you some good positive moments to end the season. Maybe not a trophy, but at least some positive moments to take into what should be a healthy 2021-22 season.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Well, thanks again. Thank you, Declan. Pleasure as always.
No worries, Pedro.
And thanks everybody for watching. We really appreciate all the support. Keep watching, listening, and give us a follow and like on all social media channels. And we'll be back next week for more.